Hello and welcome to Plot Twisters.
This is a podcast where we take movies and twist the plot to see if we can make them better, and if not, more cheerful.
At the moment, we're talking about teen movies from the noughties.
On this episode, Bring It On from the year 2000.
I'm Anders, and I put the whore in horrifying.
I'm Emma. This is not a democracy, it's a cheerocracy.
Yeah, well, I voted cheer Republican. I voted the Green cheering party.
I voted for chimmunism.
I actually didn't vote because I'm a slacker.
Yeah. Disgusting.
You know.
Please vote. Bring it on, Anders. Bring it on. Are you ready to bring it on?
Yeah, she's our man. If he can't do it, rah can do it. Yeah.
I have a really important question.
For sure.
What's it?
You know that thing in Britain where people talk about, the popular sport football?
Uh-huh.
Right, and they talk about It's Coming Home.
Yes.
And it's undefinable. It's like, what's coming home?
Well, no, it's football's coming home.
Football's coming home.
Yeah, that's what's
coming home. So I guess,
home.
Bring It On is probably like,
Bring football
on.
If we're going by the British football's coming home rule.
Right?
We're bringing on football.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
What else could it be? What else is it?
What else? Yeah. I love it. It's like when you say she's really got it, What they mean is she's got football.
She's got football. She's got football.
Yeah.
You know that, like as Homer Simpson famously said, I used to be with it, but then they changed what it was. And now what I'm with isn't it. And what's it is weird and scary to me. And of course, they were talking about football.
It'll happen to you.
It'll happen to you. So, gather ye rosebuds while ye may. Bring it on while you can. Because one day, you won't be able to bring it on at all.
It won't be a thing. I'm approaching 30, as we know.
Baby.
20 days. Yeah. From today.
Congratulations.
I'm already starting to experience this. Thank you. I'm already starting to experience this. But specifically, the glorious part of that, which is that that people never talk about, which is that you used to be with it, and then it changes and seems weird and foreign to you, but you also don't care anymore.
Yeah, you don't give two darn crap.
Like, I don't care about if it's cool or not. I don't have time.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever.
Because the thing is, and also young people today, their stuff isn't cool. My stuff is cool,
Yeah.
Come on over and we'll play some mixtapes on my
It's like,
boombox.
There's lots of stuff on TikTok, which is, it's weird because there's obviously a lot of Gen Z people saying, oh, millennials do this, and how embarrassing is it that millennials do this? But then I only really see the other side of it, which is the millennials responding to that. So I see lots of millennials getting angry about the fact that a Gen Z person has said something like, oh, side parts aren't cool anymore, and millennials love side parts, right?
Side parts are great.
I mean,
part it wherever the dang hair falls.
People have a way that their hair naturally falls,
right?
And people suit different things.
Correct. What you need is a real stylist who can show you where your hair naturally falls. And if it's a side part, it's a side part. Hey, listen,
and why does everyone have to look the same?
Hey, if you've got a cowlick, that's the way you were made.
Yeah,
you're doing the Lord's work.
I like to mix it up. I was like, what do I feel like today? I mix it up all the time. That's way more cool. Anyway, so I see lots of millennials getting very annoyed saying, oh, well, Gen Z said that my skinny jeans aren't cool and I can't wear them anymore because they're not cool and it's really sad. But, I was wearing flared jeans before you were even born and now you're wearing them because you think you're cool. And I'm like, shut up. Like, nobody cares. Come on.
Nobody cares.
It doesn't matter.
Just put on some sweatpants and sit down. All right?
Yeah.
I heard about some
Let
people.
them have what they want.
Let them have what they want. I heard about this family that they were in. They did an escape room together, and it was like, your parents, and then there were like some Gen Z kids or whatever. And then the one thing they had to do was pick up a phone and dial a number, and that number would like unlock the door. But the kids were so young, they didn't know how to use a phone, and they didn't understand how it worked. And then the dad was like, "You guys don't know how to use a phone," and they got a big argument. And then I was thinking, if the parents weren't there and if they were in a real escape room, i.e. like a room they have to escape from, kids they wouldn't have been able to get out of that room because they don't know how to use a phone. And that's sad.
I mean, aren't we all regularly in situations where we're locked in some kind of room with a puzzle to solve, but it's not an escape room we've paid for. It's a genuine room we need to escape,
Yeah. We're all running from something.
But then you could say the same thing, that I could be in an escape room where I have to send a fax. And I don't know how to send a fax. I've never used a fax machine. And somebody who's like 20 years older than me would be like, "Oh my god, you know how to use a fax machine?"
Yeah. And then I'm trapped in an escape room and they're saying, "You got to use Morse code," and I'm like, "Come on, Grandpa, what's that?"
Yeah.
Beep beep beep. I'm
Times
gonna
change.
die in this room, man.
Yeah.
That's how I. What happened? The thing is, everybody's a grandpa and everybody's a baby. And old, that thing at New Year's where it's like the old New Year is a grandpa with a cane and the New Year's baby is a new baby, That baby's going to be a grandpa.
I don't know that, but okay.
That's what they do. That's the thing they go.
Who would they?
Ringing in the New Year. Remember in the Muppets Christmas Carol when the spirit of today Christmas.
So by they you mean the Muppets.
Right. He started out young and fun, but then he was old by the end of the day. What I'm saying is his time is fleeting, okay? And we need to just keep going. We need to move on. Should we talk about the movie Bring It On?
It's like we're darting through references so quick. I'd be very impressed if anyone's able to keep up.
Let's talk about the movie.
Let's not bring it on. Let's bring it back.
Let's bring it back. Let's bring it back. All right.
Bring it back. Dial it down. Bring it on. Here we go. It's the year 2000. Kirsten Dunst is 17 and in a movie called Bring It On, in which she's playing the character Torrance Shipman.
Can I pause for a second? Torrance.
So I said we were going to bring it back.
Sorry.
I got 2 sentences in.
Her name
I agree.
Torrance?
I know it's a lot, isn't it? It's unusual. I'm not familiar with it. I kind of liked it.
I don't dislike it either.
When people said called her Tor for short, that was kind of cool. Hey Tor. Torrance. Yeah.
All right.
And it's funny because she's got quite like a, what's the word? Like a kind of her voice is like Torrance. Hi, I'm Torrance. I'm Kirsten Dunst. My name is Torrance.
Yeah. What's she famous for? Spider-Man or something?
Spider-Man and the Virgin Suicides.
Oh, right. We've seen her before. I forgot about that.
Yeah, she's in stuff all the time. She was in Little Women, Interview with a Vampire as well.
Yeah, but what has she done for us lately?
Oh my gosh. She was in
nothing.
Wow, she's not been in very much. She was in Black Mirror. Oh, she was in The Power of the Dog. That's a movie you'd hate. You would not like that movie.
You know why I don't like the word Torrance? Sorry, we'll get right back on track, I promise. Torrance? That's the last name of the family from The Shining, right?
Right.
Hello, Mrs. Torrance. It's all scary. That's the last name from a horror. Why is her name Torrance? Anyway, continue.
I made a joke when we were watching this. There's a bit where a boy makes her a tape. And my partner goes, "Why is her name Torrance?" And I said, "Better not be any illegally downloaded content on that tape."
Your eyebrows lifted right off your head because that was very highbrow. So high. Well done.
Thank you. Torrance Shipman is in a cheerleading squad in a very white school in California. And I mean that in more than one sense of the word. The building is very white, as well as the other one you can probably guess. It's a very fancy California school, and it's the 5-time reigning champion of the cheerleading national competitions squad called the Rancho something.
Toros.
Big deal. Toros, yeah. And also she's called Torrance.
I get it.
And they're really good, and they've been winning loads. However, Torrance discovers... Oh, she also she gets elected the captain. And she discovers that the previous captain, somebody who was called, what was she called? Big Red?
Big Red.
What she was called?
Yeah. Big Red.
In fact, was actually stealing a lot of their award-winning routines that were praised for being so original and unique and innovative. She was actually stealing them from another team called the Clovers, who were an inner-city team. And I don't know if they explicitly say, I think they do say it, but the insinuation is very much as this team is from a more disadvantaged background, and they don't normally have the funds, I think, to enter the competition. So she's just been stealing these routines.
It's just awful, right? It's
really
these kids
bad.
from a school that have limited resources. I mean, this is typical white people stuff.
It really is, yeah. And the other team, the Clovers, I think it's also relevant to say that it's a predominantly black students in that team. So she's then kind of met with this big disaster, this problem, which is that she can't use the routines because they're stolen. Some of her team thinks that she should anyway, but she's very much like, no, we're not doing this. We need new routines. They save up a bunch of money and they hire a proper choreographer who teaches them a new routine. They then go to the, I want to say, regionals,
yeah,
and do it to discover that another team has also done that same routine already. So then they're like, oh no, what's happened? And they realize that this choreographer is just this random joke guy who's been going around taking money from cheer squads and teaching them all the same routine. And there are 6 teams that all have this routine. So they have to come up with another new routine, and they work really hard. There's a montage where they, come up with something really cool.
Yeah.
And then essentially they have a competition and the Clovers win, which is, I think, very much what you want to happen as an audience member. You are directed that you should want them to win, and they do. And Torrance's team comes second. And there's loads of cheerleading in it. There's also a romance with Torrance and this guy Cliff, who likes rock music.
Specifically British punk music from the 70s.
Yeah. He does a cool riff where he plays Cherry Pie by Warren, which was good fun. And then there's this other storyline with this girl Missy, who is Cliff's sister, who tries out for the team, and it becomes apparent that she's a very talented gymnast who has moved to the school and they have no gymnastics team, so she has to join the cheerleading team. She looks down on them a bit and doesn't really want to, but then she gets into it and it's all fine. There's also the relationship between Torrance and Isis, who is the head of the Clover team, played by Gabrielle Union, who we know because she's in Friends.
Yes. And she's in something else. Wasn't she? Hang on. Was she in 10 Things I Hate About You?
Yeah, she's in that as well, yeah.
Is she the girl who goes, I know you can be overwhelmed and you can be underwhelmed.
Can you just be
whelmed?
I think so. I don't know. I know she's definitely in it. I think that might be her. But yeah. So there's also this relationship between her and Torrance, which is that Isis is a very competent and confident and assertive captain of her team, and she really wants them to do well. And there's this scene where the Clovers think that they're not going to have enough money to go to the competition. Torrance goes to Daddy and gets a check to give them because she's there's no point in winning unless we'll win against the best, and I want to compete against them, so I'm going to pay for them. Yeah. And Isis is like, no, we're not taking your money. We're getting it on our own terms. And, if you want me to do a favor, just bring it on and give us the best competition you can. And then they raise the money up in another way. So those are kind of the main relationships in it. And then, like I said, there's loads of cheerleading in it.
tons of cheerleading in this movie about cheerleading, believe it or not. Yeah.
Let's bring it on.
Bring it on. Have you ever seen this movie before?
So I'm not sure. I didn't think that I had, but it's very familiar. So I wonder if maybe I did and I've forgotten. But the other thing I think it could be is that, like, I know a lot of the references from this movie. So I wonder if it's just that I've been, like, because this was I think, right sort of age and kind of demographic. Maybe people I knew saw it and I was just surrounded by it. I might have done.
Yeah, I was kind of the same. It was like, I couldn't tell if I'd seen... This is weird. I could not remember if I've seen this movie before, but I remember the references from this movie. You know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
It could also be that it's maybe just very culturally referenced a lot. Like, it's referenced in Not Another Teen Movie. And
right.
Yeah, I think it's just like and there's like a billion sequels as well.
There are a few sequels. That's fact. I've not seen them.
No.
No.
So yeah, not sure.
So what do we think? All right. So like, should we do like back and forth? And we're kind of like, I'm gonna reveal what I thought, and you thought, like, or do we do?
How much?
Say it, you know.
How much do you think you have to say about this movie? A lot or not very much?
I have stuff to talk about. I have thoughts about cheerleading and whether or not it makes any sense.
Great, because I don't know that I have a massive amount of analysis on this film, so I guess I'll go first and just say what I need to say.
Okay, fine, do that.
Which is
you'll be the starter. I'll be the. You know what we'll do is, instead of ordering mains, we're just gonna do like a bunch of starters and we'll all share them, right? And then we'll definitely do puds. What do you reckon?
That sounds good, but you don't like that because you don't like sticky fingers and sharing food.
I'm gonna use a fork.
Okay.
But I don't like it. Thank you for remembering that. I don't like sticky fingers, and I don't like people who are like, I'll just have a bit of this and that, and they end up eating all of it. Okay,
that's me.
Eat all of it.
I do that.
Order an entree for yourself. Okay.
Yeah.
But but I'm also like a chilled out dude who doesn't really care about stuff. So
you're very laid back. I just wouldn't not order the food. Is the thing. I know by now that I want to eat.
No, what would happen is multiple people would order a bunch of meaty things, and there's going to be 2 vegetarian things, and one of them's olives. And guess what? Everybody eats olives, so we eat nothing.
Yeah, that's
Bill's split 5 ways.
Yeah. Oh boy, it's so tough being a vegetarian.
No. Well.
This film,
at least we're noble and we can feel smug.
Yeah, we're going to heaven. This film, it's just a bit fun, isn't it? Like, I think I kept trying to take it more seriously than I needed to. I was like, I think there's a lot that you could say about the way that race and kind of like financial background plays into this movie. I guess I'm not the right person to comment on that to a huge extent. I would say that I think there are some things which are kind of problematic about it, and there are some things which are good.
Sure.
I think at one point I suspected that the Clovers weren't going to win, and I was going to be really mad about it because I was like,
Can you even imagine? If they didn't win?
But then I was also like, are they winning because they've demonstrably been shown to be better? I don't know, because I don't know about cheerleading well enough. And I think like the bit where, again, for a moment when Torrance comes in with the check, I was like, ew. But then Isis is like, nah, I don't want your money. I was like, okay. So yeah, it's a tricky one. Obviously, the film was made 22 years ago. I don't think that's meant to be the main thing that's being discussed.
Nope.
It's just interesting, and I think, I'm not sure about it.
Here's the thing. I think that 2 things were sort of flirted with, but were not discussed in this movie. One is the concept. It was sort of the whole element of race, and the other was sexuality. Okay.
Yeah.
They kept flirting with them. Oh, whoa. What are you? Are you gay? Don't talk about it because it's 2000. But you're kind of gay, maybe.
But then they did show two male characters
vaguely flirt at the end of the movie.
Yeah, but that wasn't presented with like a judgmental eye. That was just. But then I think you're right in the sense that it's almost like I think they should have taken it more seriously. If you're going to talk about these things at this point in time, you can't really just be light about it.
Right? It was 2000.
Some of these interactions you could make in a film now, and I think would be more normalized, like the two guys just flirting with each other. That would be more just like, okay, cool. But yeah, I don't know.
They just there was this one scene with the two cheerleaders. By the way, I'll get to it in a second, but the whole the punk rock sister who's like, I'm into gymnastics. I'm not a cheerleader. 4 minutes later, she's just a cheerleader.
Absolutely, yeah. There was a big criticism for me. Was just her storyline was just totally forgotten about, wasn't it? It was
forgotten completely.
She was introduced as this big character, and I was like, oh, okay, so the movie's going to be about a rivalry between Missy and Torrance, and it's going to be, can we win over her or not? And is she going to let the team down? Nope. Literally 5 minutes in, she's like, yeah, it's fine. It's fine now. Don't care anymore.
She washed her hair, and she put on a cheer skirt, and was like, I'm just a cheerleader now.
Yeah.
The end. We're best friends forever.
After being somebody who was incredibly hostile with all of them in her initial audition.
She shows up, does a triple backflip, and goes, I don't need you, and I don't want to be a cheerleader. I'm only here because your school, which is a fancy school, by the way, right? It's a really nice school. Your school doesn't have a gymnastics program. What do you want me to do? Go find, what do you want me to do? Go do some gymnastics somewhere, probably.
Also, they're all so freaking rich.
They're so rich. Did you see her house?
Missy's house. When she's like, oh my God, this school doesn't have a gymnastics team. When you first hear that, you're like, oh, okay, she's like a real girl. She's real, and she gets real sports. And then you see her house, and you're like, oh no, she's complaining that this school isn't good enough for her because she's so flipping rich.
There's a scene where they're going up to the door of her house, and I turned to my wife and I said, are they at the high school? Because I was confused because their house looked like a whole high school, but their house was actually just a mansion.
Yeah.
My point is, hey, when the cheerleaders were in the car and they're with the two guy cheerleaders, but I get oh, look, it's the year 2000. You're a guy cheerleader. You're a cheer guy, right? You're a guy leader. That's difficult, I guess. And all the players, all the host high school football players I think you're gay, And then they're all like, because I'm not gay. And then the one's like, I am, Great. 5 years earlier, in the mid 90s, that wouldn't have happened. But it was 2000, so they didn't go any farther to be like, cool, man. Yeah. It was like they flirted with the idea that you could say a character is gay or whatever, but they didn't do anything with that, and it felt very 2000.
Yeah. I wonder if maybe the lasting legacy of the film was still an overall positive, though, in the sense that it was a pretty light-hearted film, which also I would say, as a side note, I think probably was if it didn't start, at least was in the initial wave of a lot of then, I guess you could say hobby movies or sport. You had lots of dance movies, and we had the Pitch Perfect a cappella movies and stuff like that, where there's multiple scenes of people just doing the thing. But anyway, I think that this, in a way, having a light-hearted comedy which is mostly for entertainment with elements of social equality discussion in them.
Sure.
I guess it can be a good thing because it is normalizing it in a sense, and it's going, oh, we're not trying to push an agenda here. This film doesn't feel preachy,
By no
means. And I think, like you say, that's not great in the sense that it somewhat feels like it's making too much light of things, but it's also maybe good.
Yeah, it's fine. But the thing is, they had a platform. They could have been preachier, but they weren't. But that's fine because it was a fun movie, and that's fine. All right. But here's my big beef with this movie, or / here's what I'm thinking about this movie, and I need to say some words. Okay. Number one. Okay. I'm a man of few words. Good night. Number one. Guys, you didn't know for 6 years that all of your cheers are being ripped off from an inner city cheerleading squad? First of all, you burned, right? You should have paid more attention. And second of all, the minute you found out that your cheers were stolen, you need to stop doing that. Okay? Right? Like, they had the whole debate, like, oh, what should we do? Well, we're not going to win if we don't. You're using stolen cheers. Like, stop. And then stop it. And they've been winning for 6 years. We all know that they're very good at backflips. We all know they're very good at choreography or dancing and following instruction. Okay. Immediately they find out, oh no, we've been stealing these cheers. What are we gonna do? I guess hire a professional to teach us how to just figure out a cheer for yourself. How hard is it, right?
Well, also,
like, right?
Where's the flipping coach?
They don't even have a coach.
Why don't any of these teams have a coach? Surely you have to have a coach.
I would imagine cheerleaders have a coach, right? I just feel like they went from, oh no, we're stealing cheers, to, I guess we're going to buy cheers. They went from stealing to buying. Guys, DIY. The best gifts are the ones you make yourself.
In Torrance's defense, isn't there an element...
Sorry. Shining again. In Torrance's defense.
You can call it shiny if you want. I mean,
red rum. Rum.
I would say that there's a pretty well buried storyline, which is that she doesn't believe in herself because her boyfriend's been negging her.
And cheating on her.
But particularly he's like, oh, you're just not good enough, honey. Whereas she needed a different man to tell her that she was good before she believed in herself.
Sure.
But which would explain why they didn't just do that, why they went for a choreographer. But it's not clear enough.
But then the next cheer they come up with is amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So like, and for the record, that's the most miraculous part of this whole thing, is that they've never come up with their own cheers, right? Because they've been stealing them from the inner city kids. But then all of a sudden, before nationals, they just come up with an amazing cheer.
The real magic was in them.
The spirit was in them all along. It was there all along. You know?
Yeah.
My final point is this, but I just want to say I was very glad that the Clovers won, because they were clearly the people who had put in the work, right? They had come up with the best cheers for 6 years, but they didn't have the proper funding. So if they didn't win, can you imagine? Can you imagine if the Toros had won? Like, guess what? Money pays.
I have some thoughts about how I was trying to predict how it was going to go. I have some thoughts about how they could have done that and still had a fulfilling outcome, but we'll save that for part 2.
The old twist.
I think that there's this thing which is, again, I want to make sure that I word this in the right way, I suppose, because it's a complicated thing, but occasionally media can slightly Disneyfy situations such as racism. So, like, I think a good example of this is The Princess and the Frog. Have you seen that?
I have, yeah.
Which I think is a really good movie in so many ways.
Nice. Yeah.
But there is this thing, which is that it's set in the 20s, and it depicts a relationship between a white, very rich family in New Orleans and essentially their staff, which is a woman of color, right? And it makes it seem like it, and they're friends, and they are, you know, kind of like very positive towards each other, and it almost seems like the reason why Tiana, as a black woman, isn't able to buy her restaurant is just because she's not earned enough money. But there's no
reason.
It's like, but in reality, we know that there's this thing called racism, which is the reason, and is such a huge part of that story. But because it's a Disney film, it's not showing the reality, because it's like, can you show the reality? But also, you are then essentially lying and sugarcoating the experience of black women at the time, which would have been very different. So it's and again, it's like, you don't want to not tell those stories. You don't want to not depict those people's lives. You don't want to reduce the amount of representation the black women get. But at the same time, you need to do it in a way that feels truthful and honest.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
So go on.
Well, I was just going to say, like, and you know, I mean, in that movie in particular, when it came out, if I recall, there was a lot of uproar because people completely missed the point, and they were all upset that the princess wasn't a white woman.
Yeah. And they're upset about it again now with The Little Mermaid, because Ariel...
Oh, no! What if
Ariel,
a mermaid
a fictional
isn't white?
sea creature.
She's a fish!
Yeah.
She's a half woman, half fish. Nobody cares what kind of fish she is, but she better be a white human on the top half.
It's so funny, isn't it? And I mean, it's not funny.
So
it's
stupid.
very annoying. But
I hate everybody. I hate everything. But I
when
love
it comes to discussions, like, so, you know, there's this discussion in Hollywood about white actors playing people of color who historically, you know, historically, for example, like the film Gods of Egypt or whatever, where you have white actors playing Egyptians.
Tom Cruise,
when
Last Samurai.
People say, when people say, like, you know, oh, well, there's nothing wrong with it, like, they're all actors, like, it doesn't matter what race you're and stuff, like, if you're acting the part right, or when it comes to straight actors playing gay characters, they're like, oh, you're just an actor, you're just playing the part, and it's like, that's always what the narrative is. But then when it comes to fictional characters who may previously have been played by white people, or even just been white drawings,
people get all up in arms.
Then it's a big problem.
Hans Christian Andersen was a white guy, right? In like the middle of no time, 1600s in Denmark, he wrote a book about a fish woman. He didn't say, as far as I'm aware, Ariel must be white.
Why aren't all of these people also saying, oh, you know what, it's really ridiculous because she doesn't die and turn into sea foam at the end, which is what
happened at the end of the book.
The original. So that's not accurate. Actually, it's not Hans Christian Andersen's original vision. So
it's just ridiculous. Look, the thing is, it's icky. Actually, if you think about it, it's a bit icky that this movie, without going too deep into it on a surface level, was like, hey, the rich white kids steal a bunch of cheers from the much more talented, poorer black kids.
I don't know if that did feel icky in the sense that it's like, but that's the sort of thing that does happen.
No, exactly. Icky,
I think the thing for me, it's obviously it's terrible that it happens, but in terms of how the movie showed it, I think yes, that would happen. But I think for me, it's the part at the end when they win. I'm like, again, because I don't have enough knowledge of cheerleading, I'm like, are they winning because they're better and because they deserve it? Or are they winning because the writers are like, we have to make them win?
I don't know. I thought that cheer was better. It was very good. Guess how much I know about cheerleading? 0%.
Yeah. But so, I don't know. Either way, it's a tricky one. I'm sure people who are much more informed and close to the topic have given much more advanced opinions about it than we have. But it just felt it was interesting. It was interesting.
Look. If there are any yell kings out there, right, or cheer leads, right, please, can we be friends? Because I want to know about the ins and outs of the old cheer world. Is nationals better than regionals? Is regionals better than sectionals? Is sectionals better than globals? I don't know what happens.
Or doesn't it go sectionals, regionals, nationals?
What happens if you drop the cheer stick? Are you screwed forever, or does it go away eventually?
I want to bring this back to something which is a bit more close to home for me.
Okay.
which is that I've got the IMDb page open as I usually do when we're talking about a movie, just so I can remember the character names, because otherwise I forget. And sometimes on IMDb they'll come up with user lists, which are lists of films that have been created by users of the website, the Internet Movie Database. The top list for this film is intense homoerotic rivalries between women.
Great.
And which I really enjoy.
I love that.
Oh boy. The Favorite. Oh my god. So good. Killing Eve, obviously. Pretty Little Liars. I think that I enjoyed this because I think this film is very gay.
It's
I think there
gay.
Should and there's a lot of I was like, Torrance and Missy, come on, surely. Torrance and Isis, even. What? I think there's a lot of. I think if you made this film today, then
it would be different.
One of them, it would be different
for sure. There was tension.
Yeah, I would agree with
it. Was there
the rivalry thing? I think the rivalry thing is the thing that's really fun about this movie, and from what I can tell, is the thing that's memorable about it. Is the rivalry? I think the plot's just a bit it's just not. It doesn't quite do the things it's trying to do. But it's fine. It's fun.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. This is not a highbrow movie. This is a fun movie about rival cheering squads doing some cheering. I mean, I don't know, man. I feel like you could watch this movie and what's that one with Julia Stiles where she's doing a lot of dancing, right?
Step It Up.
You could watch this and Step It Up on a double bill on a sleepover, and it would be absolutely fantastic.
Is that the one with Julia Stiles in it?
Step It Up to the Streets. Step It Up.
No, Step It Up to the Streets.
No. Julia Stiles dancing movie. It's called
Save the Last Dance.
Save the Last friggin' Dance. No, I don't know. I think sometimes movies are supposed to be important, and sometimes movies are just like Kirsten Dunst is the new cheer queen. And we've been stealing our cheers, but it's fine because everything's going to be great because we're going to do a bunch of cheering.
It's a party movie. It's a movie that you watch as a big group of teen girls that are sleepover, and you'll go, "Well, oh my god, let's all try some cheerleading." And that's what it's for.
Very tame, but very real homoerotic sort of vibes. There were.
So you picked up on them too.
Yes,
it wasn't just me.
Yes.
Okay, great.
This was a movie that was made to say, we know we could do more, but it's 2000. Well, actually, we could do more, but it's probably 1999, and we're making this movie. So we're trying our best, right? We're on the cusp of something new. We're on the cusp of something different. If this movie was made 2 years earlier, those two dudes at the end never would have flirted, right? Mm-hmm. I can feel the change, and I feel good about it. It's the 2000s.
Progress is happening inch by inch.
Progress is my middle name.
Tiny bit by tiny bit.
Inch by inch, row by row, we're going to make this garden grow.
Yeah.
With a rake and a hoe and a little bit of fertile ground.
And a what?
A hoe.
Let's go to the plot twist.
Hey everybody, we are going to make this garden grow. And you know how we're going to do that? Via social media. If you like our podcast, and I know you do, please share it with your friends at Plot Twisters Pod. Tell your mom, tell your dad, tell your grandma, tell your friend, tell somebody you don't even know that this podcast is where it's at. Thanksies. Bye-bye.
Right, so I said in the first bit that I was thinking about how you could make it so that the Tories win and the Clovers don't.
Clovers, the underfunded inner city underdogs, lose. That's what you want?
No, I don't want that. This is
what will
I'm
happen.
saying how if that was what the film was going to do, how they could have done that without it.
Can I make a wild suggestion?
Okay.
What if this whole movie was filmed from their perspective from the beginning?
I think that would be a very different movie.
Yeah. Well, but like, isn't that the whole point of, trying to make like what if they knew from they're practicing and they keep noticing like, they think someone's filming them and then they find out and then they confront Big Red. You know what I'm saying, right?
Well, let me say my idea because that might tie in, which is that I was thinking I was sitting there and it was like they were going to announce the winner and I was like, okay, what are the potential outcomes of this that I could still resolve well? Right. And I was thinking, what if it was that if the Clovers came second, or no, I was thinking they announced who's in second place and then a different team wins and the Clovers don't place at all.
Whoa.
And everyone's like, wait, what? And everyone's really outraged. And then they and then the Clovers and the Toros like gang up together because they just can't believe it that they didn't even place. They're like, if you'd come second, I guess we could have maybe understood that because we were both great, but what, you didn't place at all. This is crazy.
Right.
And then they eventually discover that there is some kind of like corruption within the league, or that if you wanted to simplify it a bit, because I think if you got into that, then that would be straying quite close to the social commentary that I think this film can't get too close to. Sure. But you could have had it so that Big Red, the cheer captain from the year before, has somehow sabotaged them, like it's her dad is the judge or something. Yeah. And then they're like, wait a minute, this whole competition is a joke. Like, this is bad. Like, they didn't give the right people the prize. Clearly, the Clovers were better. Everyone knows the Clovers were better. Yeah. But for whatever reason, I mean, like I said, if you wanted to, you could literally make it so that they're like, we don't know who these people are. They've never been in the competition before. We're not taking them seriously enough. Sure. But again, that would require a bit more heavy thinking to finish it.
It's good though, right? So this is one of those movies that starts at the end and then works his way back, or rather it starts at nearly the end. The Clovers don't win, right? And they're all upset and they're all sad, and then it flashes back to them starting the Clovers. And maybe the Clovers started out as a very bad cheer team, but who's the like lead of the Clovers? What's her name? The one who was in 10 Things I Hate About You.
Isis.
So maybe Isis, like, starts a revolution where she's like really good and she like changes it up and she's all like, guys, we're never going to get noticed unless we use like cool new songs. And maybe her brother's like a DJ who makes all the music. I'm just saying, right? And they come up with great cheers and they're about to get to nationals, but they keep getting rejected and they don't know why. And it's because Big Red's dad is keeping them out of the system. So they have to confront Big Red's dad, and maybe they tie him up, put him in a van, drive him around a little bit until he lets him into the competition. Could that happen? I want some action, right? What I'm saying is
There's not enough movement and action in this cheerleading film for you.
I want Guy Ritchie vibes, I want this to be Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, but for cheerleading.
Right. So, I mean, I will say I think I was trying to genuinely fix the movie. However, this new style of Guy Ritchie.
Sure.
A24
Brad Pitt's also
movie.
in this movie, and Colin Firth. No, Colin Farrell. Colin Firth is not in this movie. Can I repeat? Colin Firth is not. Mr. Darcy is not in this movie.
Are they still cheerleaders?
It's a bit like Ocean's 11, but also they're cheerleaders.
Right.
What they realize is that racism, but also they can overcome it through some sort of not a bank robbery, but they have to do a coup kind of a thing, right? But they still don't win.
What we really need is these two white male actors to come in and fight racism.
Correct. We
with
need some white.
Okay, great.
They come in, and also Michael Caine is in this movie, right? And he goes, I don't understand why you don't just do the bloody dance. Those cheerleaders are great. They can do the dance. Didn't you see them do the dance? But all the people on the jury have been paid off, right?
Uh-huh.
So they vote for the Toros, even though they know that the Clovers were a better dance organization.
We're friends, right?
I do know that.
You know that I'll go with you.
Most places.
To the ends of the universe.
Thanks.
On our little mind adventures.
Blank check, if you will. Thank you so much.
This podcast.
Thank you.
I will say on this one occasion.
What?
Michael Caine, Colin Farrell, gangster action movie.
Come on, do the bloody
about
cheer.
racism
Come on.
Instead of this women-centric.
There could be women too. I didn't say there's not women.
Charlotte, I don't know. What I'm saying is I'm on the ship.
Thank you.
But I am holding on to I'm holding on to the rails at the back.
Look.
With my hair blowing in the wind and my hat's just blown off into the ocean, and you're at the front of the ship standing on the whatever, the big spike you have at the front of a ship. Yeah. And you're going, wee! I'm the king of the world! Yeah. And I'm hanging off the back going, I don't know about this, man! The waters are looking pretty choppy.
Right. This movie is going to be raw. It'll be real. It's about racism. It's about social injustice. It's also about tricking people. It's about the mafia. And it's about cheerleading. Okay? The Clovers are going to win, but not in this battle. They're going to win in season 2.
Can I make a request to make this... this siege adventure journey?
Yeah, fine.
A slightly more powerful. Can it not be about racism? Can it just be a straightforward gangster cheerleading thing?
But there's elements of race.
Because I just feel like these 3 white men aren't the right. It just doesn't sit quite right with me, and it makes me feel like we're not taking the subject seriously.
All right, no, that's fair. What I'm saying is, it's not about racism, but there is a moment where you realize, actually, y'all, things would have been different if some of the components of the characters of the movie were not racist. Is that fine? That's what was it? Look, it was winked at in the first one, aka the movie that we're talking about. It could be. Well, all I want is
so wild.
All right, bring it back. It's a movie. Here's what it is. Okay, it's called Bring It On. It's a movie about 2 rival but very equal socially and conceptually schools. They're both very good at cheering. Okay.
Uh-huh.
They've been stealing ideas from each other forever, but nobody's talking about it. Every year they come up to the cheer competition and they do the same routine every single year. Okay?
But nobody's addressed
Nobody
it.
says anything, right? Well, that was fun, right? Oh, they tie every time. And then they finally realize, guys, if we don't do something different, we're always going to tie. Okay? Because they will always die because they're doing the same routine. They're both great.
I'm just on I'm on a different ship now, but it's still rocky.
Right? So they have a sit-down agreement at a Denny's, and they have they order breakfast, and they have a really good time, and they all agree, double handshake, wink, no going back. For the next competition, we are going to do our own routines, and we're not going to steal from each other, right? But that's a psych, and they steal from each other again, and they do it again, and then in the end...
How can they both steal from each other, though? Because surely if one of them steals from the other one...
Totally, I know.
They have to then steal back.
Each of the cheer squads, you're going to hate this, but I'm going to say it anyway. The captains of the cheer squads are identical twin sisters who've been separated at birth, okay? They've been separated at birth, and as a result, every cheer they come up with is identical, right? They can't help it. Here's what
have any of you got when you have a friend
and they're like, it's new, trust me, it's new.
It's like you go to a party with this friend and you've brought the friend and you're like, oh my god, everyone at the party, you have to meet my really cool friend Anders. You're gonna love him, he's such a great guy.
They're twins.
And you take him to the party and then he just like
because their brains are connected,
makes
twins.
a bunch of really weird like relatable jokes, and everyone at the party's looking at you like, who is this guy that you brought?
You're just not stoned enough.
What
Trust
is this?
me. The twins, because they come up with the same cheers.
What if there's 2 squads and all the squads, everyone on the squad is a twin with somebody else on the other squad, and they're just they're 2 identical cheerleading teams.
Yeah, they're called twin cheers. Yeah, they're called twin. They're twin cheerleading teams.
And they make like, you know when you make like a human triangle?
Yeah.
And the twins of twins, and there's 2 identical triangles of twins, and the movie's called Twin Peaks.
Yeah. Ooh, that's you know that gum you like? It's back in fashion. That's good. People should make more movies about the fact that twins are the same but the opposite.
I was really excited to come into this podcast today because I was like, I've got some good ideas for this movie. Bring it on. I think I can make it better. I'm going to apply my master's degree in screenwriting to this cheerleading film and make it better.
Not today.
And you said no. And you know what? I respect that.
Thank you so much.
I respect that.
Thank you. Sometimes you wake up and you got a fire in your belly, you know? And you've got a fire in your belly, and you've got Heelys on your feet, and you've got a real tenacity.
A song in your heart.
A song in your heart, and a spear in your hands.
A beer in your belly.
And what you need to do is you need to go full force in the one direction, Harry Styles. And if people don't like it, well, you're moving so fast they can't even tell you. Right? Stab, Harry Styles.
I know I said bring it on, but I didn't know that this was what it was. Now I know what it is.
Right? This and football.
I hate it.
Right? All right. Right. Let's try to grab all the the loose ends and just bring them together. Okay?
Twins. Colin Farrell.
Yep. Speed of light. Conceptual
a ship on the ocean.
Conceptual cheers. Rival twins. Disagreement.
Is
racism.
How about this? 2 twins go to different schools, both cheerleading captains. They get in a really big rivalry. They really hate each other. And they constantly trying to compete, and their parents are like, why, you used to be best friends, why can't you just be best friends anymore? And they're like, no, because we're different schools, different cheerleading captains, we both want to win, we both want to be captain. And then the schools merge at the end of the movie, and the teams merge, and they're both cheerleading captain, and it's all fine. And they realize that they're better together, and they're stronger together.
They come up with the same cheers, and they do the same cheers, and everybody at the competition is like, we can't judge this. Because it's the same.
This is a mess. You guys are all over the place.
It's a mess.
You're
what
playing,
has happened? And they
playing
go,
2 tracks of music simultaneously.
We're twins. I'm so sorry. I can't control this. It's not my fault. It's my mom and dad's fault. Look,
can I? That was great.
Great.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
How much sugar have you had today?
Tons. So much. How many bags have you had? 1?
Clearly not enough.
It's not enough. Right. Speaking of things that you can eat, I think it's time that we should rate this movie. Emma, I would like to know on a scale of 1 to 5, full bottles of diet pills. How many bottles of diet pills would you give this movie?
3. And that's because, as I think I may have referenced in a previous episode, I really like these kinds of movies where there's just lots of dancing. I love all the noughties dance movies. I think we'll probably do at least one of them.
Sure.
I like watching cheerleading. I like watching people who are good at stuff do their thing that they're good at. Yeah. So I enjoyed that. And I think the fact that there was a lot of references that I know, even though I may or may not have seen the movie, means that it probably is quite culturally pervasive. I think the standard of writing was pretty good for what the film is. And I think I guess I'm going to say in this instance, the fact that it was able to deal with some of the issues that it deals with without me feeling physically sick in the year 2000 is a good thing.
In the year what?
The year 2000.
It's almost 2023, FYI.
No, I mean, this is a film from the year 2000.
I'm fine. Sorry, I thought you were saying that you reflecting from the year 2000. That was 23 years ago.
That would be wild. Why would I say that? That's such a wild thing to assume.
I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, the 90s were like 10 years ago, right? Because I'm old.
Yeah.
Yeah. I gave it for the record, I gave this a 3 as well. It was fun, but kind of dumb, but I liked it. It was dumb, but smart. Sometimes movies are both not that smart and also very smart. It's weird. I don't know how to describe it, but this was
kind of reminds me of you.
Thank you so much. I take that as a compliment. That's a compliment.
You're welcome.
I liked it, but I don't know. I feel like I don't need to watch this movie again. That's the thing.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say no to Bring It On 2.
I bet it's rubbish.
I bet it sucks.
I bet it's really bad.
I bet it's even worse, and there's no Kirsten Dunst.
Yeah. Bring It On.
Again?
It's a 6.1
on
IMDb.
That's not terrible. We have loved movies below that mark.
Bring It On Again.
Yeah, that's a sequel.
4.4.
4.4.
And then we also have Bring It On All or Nothing, and I don't know if that's 2006. So weirdly, that one's back up to a 5.5. So they get better again, apparently.
All or nothing. All or nothing.
Yeah, and they all have a white woman with blonde hair standing next to a black woman, which is
Bring it on. You bring it on.
Oh boy. Okay.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. All right. Here's the final question. Right? We just watched a movie about cheerleaders, and neither of us were cheerleaders, as far as I'm aware. Right? But if you could have them, would you have a squad of cheerleaders who could show up whenever you want to cheer you on?
I feel like that would probably give me anxiety because I'd find them all really intimidating, and I'd just feel really threatened by their very feel very confronted with their femininity and athletic prowess. Yeah. So I'm gonna say no.
Also, good call, great call, by the way, because like if you do summon these cheerleaders, they have to stay, and they're gonna have to crash at your house, and they're all the worst. They're all the worst.
And someone you love will die every time they cheer.
Oh, you know, obviously, but like, you know, that's just standard magic.
The monkey's paw, baby.
Sure, exactly. Either, you know, and one finger goes down, and then before you know it, you ask for world peace, but like, actually, it's gonna be a bunch of war. You know. My advice: don't buy a monkey's paw. Don't invoke.
Just don't get one.
Don't invoke magic.
Why do people keep getting them? Like, it's
guys,
crazy.
Why does everybody keep getting a monkey's paw? All right, we know they're bad. Didn't you ever think about the consequences? Right. Also, my advice: if you ever find a magic lamp where it's like a genie comes out and he grants you wishes, right? Don't ask for 1,000,000 wishes. That's greedy. Ask for 17 more wishes, because the genie will go, I get it. You want more, but you're not being greedy. I'm going to make sure all of the...
You're one of the good ones.
You right?
The whole point of having a genie and a lamp is so that you can prove to the genie that you're one of the good ones.
Right? Hey,
it's like therapy. You're just trying to prove to your therapist that you're a good guy, you know? That's why you're there.
Exactly. If you find a genie in a lamp before you ask for wishes and stuff, just like take him out for a cool hipster double IPA and tell him that you're best friends. And ask him if he wants a cool new shirt. And he'll be like, I don't need a shirt. And you're like, I know you don't need it, but don't you want it? And if you want it, I'll just go down to the Gap and buy you a new shirt, bud, because you're my bud. And the genie will go, you're a really cool guy. Do you want any wishes? And you go, I want 17 more wishes. And he'll go, I get you, boo. I get you. You want 20 wishes in total. Not greedy. I'm going to make sure every wish you have is cool. Then you ask for like $1 billion, you know? And he won't say no, because you're dudes at that point. Is any of this getting through to you people, right? I give my life advice out there every day.
I don't think anyone's still listening. I think they will.
Well, all right. in that case, I'd like the remaining people who are listening to, I'd like to say thank you for listening to this episode of Plot Twisters.
Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts.
And we will see you next time. Please come back. Goodbye.
Please don't leave us. Well, don't leave me here on my own. Goodbye.